Good morning, everybody, and Happy New Year. I'm Muriel Bowser, your mayor. Welcome to the John A. Wilson Building. I want to thank everybody who had the opportunity to celebrate with us, celebrated at the Anthem, of course, on New Year's Eve, the Fresh Start 5K on New Year's Day, beautiful interfaith service at the 6 and 9 synagogue yesterday, followed by the inauguration of members of the council, the attorney general for the District of Columbia, and me. You, I hope, heard our message that a third term is a special opportunity for us to be bold. We have a mandate from the people to think big and push the envelope on the big issues that are facing the district. And we see every day as an opportunity for us to do more for the city with every project, every initiative, everything that we have to do for the residents of the District of Columbia. Yesterday, I laid out the 6 big areas that we will focus on in the next 4 years, starting with how we are going to serve young people in our schools to make sure we have the best school system in the nation, building on the progress that we have made with pre-K. Our focus on how to make up for learning loss during the pandemic has our attention in ensuring that our students are prepared for college and for life. We will also have a focus, of course, on ending gun violence in our city, reimagining our downtown, fighting and growing the middle class in D.C., how to protect and expand democracy for D.C., and a focus on building a resilient future in all of our infrastructure for Washington. Today, I'm happy to announce some new members of my team or members who have stepped up for additional leadership opportunities. So let me start with someone you know well, Tommy Wells. Tommy, as we have discussed previously, will be leaving the Department of Energy and the Environment. I guess as of today, you're gone. And he has been working with us on our transition work as well. He last worked in the Wilson Building as a member of the council representing Ward 6. And today, I'm pleased to appoint Tommy as the Director of the Office of Policy and Legislative Affairs. Tommy, of course, has strong relationships with the council. We have worked well together over not only the last 8 years, but the previous ones when we were colleagues on the council. And we look forward to our work with the members who may be upstairs having an important meeting as well. In the interim, the Director Jackson will serve as the interim. Richard Jackson will serve as the interim director of the Department of Energy and the Environment. And he's right here. Next, I want to announce that Lindsay Appiah will be the next Deputy Mayor for Public Safety and Justice. Lindsay is an attorney with an extensive background in public safety, especially youth involved in the criminal justice system. She came to D.C. government in 2012 when she joined the Department of Youth and Rehabilitative Services. She served there until 2021 when she joined the Office of the Deputy Mayor for Public Safety as the Chief of Staff. We know that she attacks her work with urgency and will have a dogged focus on our youth. So welcome, Lindsay, and congratulations on your appointment. I next want to introduce to some, not the members of the press, Susanna Castillo, and Susanna is my new director for communications. The press knows her well. You have her on speed dial, I'm sure. She has worked as my press secretary since 2019, and most recently as the deputy director for communications. She helped lead our communications throughout COVID. at all situational updates. Susanna started in D.C. government in 2015 in the Mayor's Office on Latino Affairs. She moved to the Mayor's Office in 2016, and today I'm proud that Susanna is on this side of the podium accepting this promotion. Congratulations, Susanna. And working closely with the Office of Communications is Courtney Hill. Courtney is right here, and Courtney will be the new director of the Mayor's Office of Scheduling and Advance. And that is a tough job, and I want to thank and congratulate Jason Fink, who has served in that capacity with me for nearly 6 years, and Jason is moving on to another post in D.C. government. The Office of Scheduling in Advance takes a lot of planning and managing my schedule and making sure we're getting to the places in the community, hosting events, and being as helpful to the public as we can, and making sure that the Bowser administration is constantly in the community. Director Hill has most recently been working for the President and First Lady, and I want to welcome her to our team. Next, I want to introduce Colleen Green. Colleen Green is being appointed as the Director of Housing and Community Development, and this is a return to DHCD for Colleen, who served as Chief of Staff at the agency from 2007 to 2009. And you know that we have had a focus on housing and will continue to have a focus on housing and be a leader throughout this region and nation in our investments in affordable housing. I also want to thank Drew Hubbard for stepping up in an interim capacity at DHCD, and he continues to be a valued member of the Bowser administration. And last but not least, I want to introduce Timothy Spriggs as the Director of the Department of Public Works. Director Spriggs already has one of the most important jobs in D.C. government, and that is leading our snow operations. Now, I have declared that it will not snow in the district, but if it does, we have Director Spriggs to call on for snow, trash, parking, and supporting our RAT operations as well to make sure that we continue to be a clean city and a city that can operate. And he's very good at that. He came to DPW from the district's Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Management. He has also many years of managing logistics and operations for the military, and that experience will be key in ensuring he will continue to deliver world-class services. I want to congratulate also Mike Carter on his much-deserved retirement from DPW, and I'm grateful that on the day he retires, it's 60 degrees outside. So I want to congratulate all of our appointees and remind residents that if you're interested in joining our team, they are smart, hardworking people that love the district, and we are hiring. So with that, I'll take any questions. Yes, sir. Thank you.
What are your plans for the revised Criminal Code Act with the deadline being tomorrow?
With the what?
Revised Criminal Code Act.
Oh. Well, I have, and I got the legislation was transferred from the council yesterday. I expect to be sending the council members a letter with my concerns accompanied by my veto. Yes.
Mayor, it's been a tough overnight period. We've had a number of shootings, 5 in all, in the course of 4 hours, 8 people hurt, teenager killed. What are your plans for dealing with the violence that seems to be plaguing the city right now in the coming year?
Well, you heard me talk about youth violence yesterday in my remarks, and you've heard me talk about it over the last several weeks. And I regard how we approach young people who have guns and who are using guns as one of our top priorities. I also am very concerned about the system of consequences for young people. And we have to make sure that all of the systems of our government are working to make sure that we get to the young people before they commit serious crimes, but if they do commit serious crimes, that we have a system of consequences for them. One thing in reviewing the reports from overnight, and a 17-year-old and a 13-year-old shot behind a metro station, called me to call all of our school leaders together. Even though this is not an incident that happened at a school, these are young people. I also, anytime we have a young person involved in a crime, whether it's at school or not, which it normally is not, we want to know what the school community can do to support that young person and family. So we will have a convening of school leaders in the DC public schools and the DC public charter schools to make sure that we are supporting them, helping them. They're supporting the public safety efforts and identifying young people that we may need to get to before a crime happens. Yes.
Going back to the revised Criminal Code Act, you said the letter you're going to send has some concerns in it. I know you've spoken about that before, but can you remind us again what your concerns are?
I mean, they are well discussed, and I am concerned that any time that we are experiencing heightened levels of violence in our city, and let's be clear, we've made some progress between the earlier part of last year and where we ended. We actually saw shootings go down, we saw homicides go down, but not enough. Right? None of us can be satisfied with young people having weapons and using weapons and killing each other. None of us can be satisfied with that. And so anytime there's a policy that reduces penalties, I think it sends the wrong message. That takes the focus off of using guns or possessing guns. I think is the wrong way to go. We're also very concerned that the courts have the resources to keep up with the law. And we're just now seeing the courts really get going in full force post-pandemic. And what this law would suggest is that the number of trials would skyrocket. And so we have concerns about all of that.
Just following up quickly, last year there was a deficit of justices or judges in the court. Do you see that changing this year? Do you see there being more judges pulled up?
Well, I believe 7 judges were recently confirmed, which is a help. It wasn't the complete deficit wasn't completely removed. I think they were down 14 and they got 7 or 9. I'm not remembering the number, so that helps. But they also have, people retire, and a lot of people on the bench are eligible to retire. So the big issue with that is we don't control it. If we controlled it, we could make sure that we didn't have vacancies or for as long as we've had with the courts. But more than that, if the workload is going to go up by, I don't remember what percent it could go up, then they probably need more people on the bench, not just the status quo. Yes.
Mayor, another question about crime. You used the term yesterday, you spoke a little bit about the progress you feel has been made. I think the term you used yesterday was incremental progress. How do you move beyond that level of incremental progress when it comes to addressing gun violence and violent crime?
Well, there isn't one thing. It's a lot of things working really well, and that goes from making sure that we can stay on track to restore the number of police officers. Keep in mind that we had 2 years in the last 4 years of defunding the police. When I became mayor, we had about 3,800 officers. We're down to 3,400, and that number goes down every day. So we have to have a commitment in the city to have the police that we need. And so we will continue hiring. We also have to have policies that support our public safety. So we're going to keep working to make sure that we have a system of consequences, whether it's juvenile or adults, that works. We also have to make sure that all of our prevention systems are working effectively. And we've been very focused on that. What you heard me talk about yesterday was one of our premier programs that we know works. And so how do we get more people to have the experience that 200 men have had by going to intense job training for 9 weeks that includes subsidized employment and helping them get on the right track. We know we have a small number of people that are committing most of the crime in the district. We've identified, but anywhere between 200 and 400, I think the number was in our first year of identifying people of promise, that if we can pour resources into preventing them from being involved in criminal activity, will have a big, big impact on crime.
As a quick follow-up, with the new Attorney General also sworn in yesterday, have you had a chance to have a conversation with him about the issue of juvenile crime specifically? And how do you hope a new Attorney General might impact juvenile crime and consequences of juvenile crime?
I have had an opportunity to talk to the now Attorney General, many conversations with him in the days and weeks leading up to his swearing in. And our very firm belief that the Attorney General has to be at the table with a system of, a certain system of consequences. This is what I also tried to emphasize yesterday, and I want to be very clear. We have a system of rehabilitation for youth in the district, and that we don't want to think about consequences as punishment. We want to think of consequences as a lifeline. A 13-year-old with a gun shooting somebody needs help immediately. And we may have to require that 13-year-old or 14-year-old, 15-year-old, we may have to require it for that teenager and his family. And so we want the public to know, we want the prosecutors to know, and the Attorney General is responsible for prosecuting juvenile crime in the district. And we want the judges to know that we have the system, the facilities, and the services to offer that lifeline. So yes, consequences, but consequences shouldn't be thought of in a system that is built around rehabilitation as punishment, but are really a chance to get the services that you need. And sometimes, especially when you're a young person, you don't get to choose because you don't know enough to choose what's right for you all the time. And so that's why you have a family, and that's why you have the systems in our government to help get you what you need. Yes, Mark.
Could we hear from the new acting Deputy Mayor of Public Safety
Sure.
on what she plans? You said her focus would be really on youth. What will be your focus? What will be different under your leadership of this agency going forward, addressing these issues of crime that has so many citizens concerned?
Sure. I mean, the first thing I would say is that we have literally thousands of committed, dedicated public servants in the public safety and justice cluster. And so the mayor has talked about rehabilitation. And I come from DYRS almost 9 years. And so I know that we have a system set up to provide youth, their families, and communities the type of wraparound care that will keep them both alive and hopefully to put them on a path that will lead to not re-arrest or incarceration or into positive outcomes for them. So there is a focus on making sure that our young people are given the services and supports that we have, and some of that really is through commitment. But we also believe in prevention, and so we have a host of resources in the district. We are extremely fortunate to have a wide range of services. But, we could use some coordination. I don't think that it would be out of turn to say that, and collaboration, and looking at our programs that have the types of outcomes that we want to see and scale down some that don't, and scale up those that do have the types of positive outcomes that we're looking for. And so I believe that my role is to help provide our robust ecosystem with the type of connective tissue that allows us to all be pulling in the same direction.
Yes.
Mayor, I thought your ideas on downtown were really fascinating. I think a lot of people do. Could you talk a little bit? Have you heard back from the feds about a demand to either return to work or get people back in those buildings or give the city some affordable housing?
Well, Bruce, I think you can count on continued conversations with our federal partners on the downtown. This won't be a one-day conversation, but it's one that's going to take shape over many, many months. What I laid out yesterday was how serious for the city a robust downtown is. And all of the things that we have been able to do in our city over the course of our renaissance can be tied to a successful downtown. We've been able to invest, for example, billions of dollars into public schools. When people come to our city and they visit some of our public school buildings, they're blown away by the type of facility investments. We have transformed almost every neighborhood library and the main library in the District of Columbia. All that is related to having healthy finances and reserves. We have the gold standard in social programs in this city. All of that is related to having healthy finances and reserves. So the converse is, if our finances are strained, we are less able to invest in those gold standard of services. And none of us wants that. And so being focused on how we have a healthy downtown is and has to be a primary focus of ours. Now, the numbers are what they are. The federal workforce represented about a quarter of our workforce pre-pandemic. And what that is ties to is how the properties downtown can make it. How can they survive? And then some of those properties, they're either owned or leased by the federal government, also contributing to how those properties make it, how they survive. So we believe firmly that just like we are in DC government, we are at work in person serving the residents of the District of Columbia. We know people move here, their businesses here, and they want to work here because they want to change the world. And doing that together on teams across the table, having meetings with federal partners, with lawmakers, is important to the productivity, not just of DC residents, but for America. And so we think our story is not unique. American cities are really wanting for national leadership in the new work environment.
Can I just ask a follow-up? Is it, I mean, commercial rents are just much higher than residential rents. Does it make sense economically at scale to convert from a commercial downtown to a residential downtown? Is it possible to do it?
It's possible to have a better balance, and that's what we're shooting for. Even in our own city, when we see some parts of the city that have more of a commercial and residential balance, they fared better during this pandemic because more people were already there. And so what we're going for with adding 15,000 new residents in the downtown in the next 5 years is to achieve better balance. Any other questions? Yes, Mark.
Off topic, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk just a little bit about, we've seen some recent vandalism of auto enforcement cameras, traffic cameras in the city, and there are plans to expand more cameras out. Just where do you see the expansion of auto enforcement, photo enforcement for traffic violations going? Do you see that as something that's going to grow every year?
I will have to remind myself of the number we reach, but I am a huge fan of auto enforcement because it allows us to have a broader and better and more efficient use of our people resources. And we have shown that it works, especially in the red light running area, but also with speed. And speed is the single biggest, well, maybe not the single biggest, but it's up there with contributors to our traffic collision issues.
And I really got to ask about this new comms director.
Yes, please do.
I think we'd all like to hear her vision for.
Absolutely. Susanna.
More.
Thank you. Well, I first want to thank Mayor Bowser for giving me this opportunity, and I have to thank my parents that are here, sitting in the first row, and my nephew Ethan as well. So I'm here today because everything my parents have done for me all of these years. So my vision for the comms department and for the entire DC government is to really execute the vision of the mayor, right? So my job is to ensure the message, the programs, the tools and resources that the mayor has put in place are well known across 8 wards. So that I do that, working with you, right, Mark, working with every single member of the press here. So I will continue to work with you guys and also hold you accountable, right? When the headlights are wrong, I will be calling you. When things are not right, I will be calling you, right? So that's part of my job. And also work with all the PIOs, communications directors across DC government to ensure they have what they need and to ensure they have good relationships with members of the press as well. That's it.
Thank you, Susanna. And I want to make one additional announcement, and that is that Jasmine Colton, where's Jasmine? There's Jasmine, is being appointed to serve as my traveling chief of staff. So congratulations, Jasmine. And I hope that you recognize that we have a great team that works for DC government, and I'm never more proud than when I can make promotions within DC government. People who have worked hard, who put in the time, who are expert in their field, and who have earned the opportunity for their next step and their fair shot. So congratulations.